It's Pepe Wednesday. Adam, what is good? Also, I want to know, I just saw that Al from Pepe.wtf just announced that they launched a Pepe bot, Pepe sales bot. So I will make sure to pin that to the top. But first, everyone who's here, make sure you repost the space so that everybody can come listen to the show. We're going to go over some sales. We have some OGs on the stage today. Very, very exciting. So first, make sure that you retweet the space, and then I'll pin the post from Al so that you guys can go follow the Pepe, I think it's Pepe WTF bot. Adam, what is good?
Other than I just think I kicked Chris out of the space. I don't know if I just banned him. Freaking X. Like I tried to like add, and right next to add is like kick or ban, or I don't even know what I did. I think I rugged him, man. I think he's fully rugged. I don't know if I can get back in the space, man. So might be a bad. Chris might be down bad. Not sure.
Yeah, he just sent me a text that says space is not available. I'm out of
fuck, I'm sorry, bro. I am so sorry, dude. I was literally I hit. It's literally like right next to each other. The remove and the add as speaker or whatever, and I just rugged. How could they put that right next to each other? Anyway, that's my bad. That's my bad.
Oh my Jesus, Boomer, get out of here, Boomer. Jesus Christ, Jesus, dude, you're just as bad as the Portal Coin people. Jesus Christ. Chris said I'm stuck outside of the club, but Adam, how are you feeling today outside of that?
I tell you, I tweeted this morning. It feels like I got like January 21 vibes, like early bull run vibes this morning. I don't know. There's just so much like positivity kicking around the timeline. It's just feeling very, very bullish right now. Portal Coin is not it for me. I was memeing about it earlier today. Definitely don't get that vibe from that. But yeah, there's just general good vibes going all around. I think a lot of buys, people like getting that bottoms over feeling. Yeah, who knows? Maybe we cycle back into another bottom, but certainly has that vibe of people are feeling positive about crypto again.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just pinned to the top Pepe.wtf's post. We've launched Pepe WTF bot. It posts sales from any collection in the site, Emblem Vault sales, dispensers, decks, and scarce.city. So we are on. I wonder, I'll have to ask him if that includes fake rares, fake commons, and dank rares. But without further ado, we got some legends on the space, and then we'll dive into kind of sales and then everything Pepe. Shawn, man, I haven't talked with you in a little while. I actually got to meet Shawn at NFT NYC. We got to be on the same panel together. It was super fun, man. How have you been?
Great. And loved what you guys are doing. Love the energy and what Emblem Vault's doing and what you two have been bringing to the space. Love it. Yeah. Glad to be here.
Appreciate it. Yeah, it's exciting, man. It's funny. I was talking with Chris about inviting different Pepe people on the show. And sometimes, man, you guys are tough to get a hold of. You got to dive into either Discords or Telegrams or private DMs.
Yeah, we live in the Telegram chats. We're in high demand. We got tour dates, we're on the road a lot. So it's tough.
Hey, but first, before we talk with Bench, dude, give me the details on the test 10-year
Test.
celebration. Give me the 411 on the details of that.
Test is the OG token. If you, we like Namecoin, we like everything Bitcoin. Don't want to diss anybody, but man, it's undeniable. Counterparty started 10 years ago this January, and Test, of course, was the first asset that someone just quickly dialed in. That owner went dormant for a long time, and during the whole run up in 21, they just appeared on the dispenser and started selling. So it's like, why not buy the first token? And I kind of came up with the idea that other than receipts for digital art ownership and maybe some in-game assets, I think being part of a club, being a part of a community is a big part of having a token, as we've seen with Bored Ape and all the other ones. We had the salon with Hair Pepe for years. So I was like, guys, what if we all meet in Vegas, which is, who doesn't want to go to Vegas, January of 22. And we had about 2 months to plan it. Did a private dinner for all the test holders. We had about 25 come. And then we took over Omnia Club. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Omnia. It was a great time. Omnia. And we're going to do it again. We did Antigua last year. Not as heavily attended, probably about 7 or 8 of us. A little harder, bear market. You know, it's harder to get out there, but
and Antigua's a bear to get to, man. It's not. That's not an easy flight. That's not Vegas, man.
It was. That's like that's about 4-hour flight from Miami. It's way down there.
Yep.
So, yeah, Vegas coming up. We'll have it's a Saturday, and we're looking forward to it. January 13th, 2024, at Caesar's Palace.
And
nice.
do you have to be an owner of Test to come, or are there guest tickets, or how does it go if somebody's interested in it?
It's hard to really check to see if you own it, but I mean, it's primarily a counterparty celebration. I mean, so many cool projects have come out of it, and so it's just a great community. I think you guys know that so well, and so yeah, it's just a good time. And the test dinner could be private. It just kind of depends on when people come. And the homestead's no longer there, which is what we used. And I'm waiting for I forgot his name. Who's opening up the new one? The Brasilia B, I think, is the name of the new restaurant going on. I don't know if they have private dining. So I'm kind of waiting for them to finish construction, so to see how that goes. But everyone's welcome to come.
Yeah, sure. I think that restaurant actually just opened up this last weekend. I had a few influencer YouTuber friends, so went and got to preview that. It's funny, actually. Nice. I spent 5 years at Omnia Nightclub. I opened it up as a busser, so that was previously what I was doing. And so, yeah, fun times. Also, Chris, who Adam kicked off stage, who works at Emblem now, was also a host at XS for 6-7 years. So lots of nightlife experience. So I'm excited to meet up with you guys.
That'd be great. Yeah, Vegas is so cool. I never have a bad time there. Never a boring time.
That is to say the least. And also, we have another Rare Pepe scientist that I learned came to the end. At the end, I thought it was always from the beginning, but we'll hear that story. Bench, man, how is it going? Also, pleasure to meet you at NFT NYC earlier in the year.
Hey, it is going well. Yeah, it was really nice to meet you at that HNFT event. It was also nice to meet Adam in Barcelona. Yeah, I mean, the story, we can get into that when you're ready, of how people were added in the curation process. But otherwise, yeah, I'm just hanging out, watching Bitcoin price moves. You know, we're up at that 38 level. So it's been fun. And yeah, loving what you guys are doing with Emblem. Obviously, I was talking to you yesterday in the Discord, and we got everything ironed out. The new curated collection seems to be flying. I woke up to a sale from a card that I had vaulted on the legacy system that was migrated. Again, great job on that, guys. For Pepe. So it's like I got a double helix. I was a biologist when I was doing the Rare Pepe stuff. So I really like that card. It hasn't really ever gained a lot of traction, but it was nice to just see somebody saw it on OpenSea and they wanted it.
Yeah. We'll get into the sales here in a second. First, as we were talking with you in the Discord, right, there's a few issues with our front end always, which I know people tell us, the front end is slow. You have this circle spinning of death. It's painful, we know. So we're actually been building a new front end during the migration process. So hopefully that should come out within a few weeks of the completion of the migration. But the Pepe collection, right? That was our priority. Was before we could move on to anything else, we got to get this Pepe collection up. That's literally, the entire user base. But for some of the sales, I didn't put on the live stream today. I was running a little bit late to the stream, but of course we had that 58 ETH sale from Mr. Gordon Goner himself of Yuga Labs. I think Farouk and a few of the other guys are the ones that were kind of red pilling him on it, or green pilling him, to say the least. Adam, what are your thoughts on it? Is it bullish or bearish that controversial figures or hated figures in some areas are joining the Pepe community?
You know what? It's just, when you bring on the world, you're going to get good eggs, bad eggs, just depends on what side of the aisle you're on or what side of the world you're on, right? If you're going to onboard the entire space into crypto, you're going to get bad actors, good actors, and whatever. And I have no idea. I don't think, I haven't seen any evidence that this guy's done anything outrageous or egregious, even with
people's
all
taxes just are not going up. That's why.
Even though, the people like the Nazi stuff and, I never, vibed with that stuff. So look, I mean, any art collection, when you have an important person buying into that collection, it's an event that you're supposed to celebrate. I mean, this is what we do when art is collected by highly valued collectors. This is what we celebrate. And look, I celebrated when the guy bought a Yeti because I thought it was funny that, he bought a Yeti, and I was like, oh man, I got to go find my Yeti bags, right? Just because it's funny. But him buying, the most, at least one of the most sought after rare Pepes is a thing that I think we all should celebrate. I mean, anybody who fights against that, it's like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. So some of the top sales, right? The rare Pepe Nakamoto card sold for 58 ETH. We had a handful of 5 ETH purchases come in. There's one that just happened about an hour ago. China Pepe sold for 5 ETH. Cold Pepe.
Wait, China just sold for 5 ETH? That's my card.
At 8:09 a.m. Yep. Congrats.
Well, I don't think that's my listing, but that means that's the 5-figure zone.
Yeah.
So, woo!
Just sold for 5 ETH. We also had, let's see, this was probably the biggest week. We have about 100 ETH in volume over the last 48 hours. Pepe Le Pew sold for 3.5 ETH this week. Cold Pepe sold for 3.5 ETH, I believe, or 2.75 ETH as well. We've had Boys Club Pepe sold for 2.75 ETH. Bag Holder Pepe, skip this one, 4.2 ETH. So whoever created that card, yeah, we are getting some traction. I saw a lot of buys come in. From the fake rare side, the top sale was a Fakamoto sold for 0.5 ETH. So, dude, somebody just committed an absolute robbery there. I don't know who sold that. I think it was Desktop Commando. So, RIP, man, to to our favorite Emblem moderator. We had Phoenix Pepe sold for 1.5 ETH. And yeah, buys are coming in. I've seen a handful of, I guess you call it traditional, or I guess like ETH NFT influencers started buying. I saw Spotty Wi-Fi's probably spent 10 to 20 ETH over the last few days. It's interesting to follow the purchasing kind of style of different people. There's some people who you'll watch will buy in packets of 2 or 3, right? It's like they like that card and then they're bullish on the card, so they buy one to hopefully sell later. Yep. You see a bunch of people coming in and just sweeping, all of the high supply cards, which I know it seems to be a little bit of a controversial kind of take, because you could buy a Pepe Cash for a penny and then people are selling it for $40 on OpenSea. But to me, I kind of view that as the beginner card. It's more beginner friendly, right? For me, it's like I'd rather somebody get wrecked on overpaying for $40 and getting wrecked on overpaying for $5,000 on like a different type of card they don't know. So, I'm completely okay with it. It's funny when those high supply cards, the ones on the floor, start flying, because then you just see this rush of people trying to mint their Pepe Cash cards to then hopefully front run all of these people coming in and buying. So it is quite exciting to say the
Yeah,
least.
I'd add one on the list there too. Bats bought, I don't know how much,
Oh,
a
yeah.
whole page worth of Pepe's in a sitting. Yeah, so that was, I saw that on the timeline as well.
That is exciting. Well, let's get to the order of business, man. I know, Pepe is fresh. A lot of people listen to this show after the live recording as well. We get a good amount. I'd like to start with Shawn. Shawn's, one of the original Pepe artists. Let's dive into some of the history. How did you get involved with Rare Pepe, and take us through your experience of what it means to be a Rare Pepe scientist?
Yeah, definitely. It's I was a Counterparty fan prior to that, so I was already in the Counterparty chat and kind of a community member. And a guy named Mike came into the chat and said, "I'm putting Rare Pepes in the blockchain to prove that they're rare." And just got sucked right into it. I joined the chat. He gave me a shitcoin card. He said the first 20 people that go to the chat will get the shitcoin card. And quickly we saw the chat room going viral. Now, Counterparty only had 300 people in the chat, because actually less than that, because I gave the 300 and 301st person in that chat a Rare Pepe, the original card, because they weren't worth anything, and I was just trying to drum up. So it was a very small community. But we could tell that the Rare Pepe chat was growing exponentially and quickly had a lot more than the Counterparty chat. So I was FOMOing hard, and you kind of cling to people that you know. And Theo had run a gambling chat on Telegram called the Gen Bet. And we had actually chatted over like Mumble or TeamSpeak or whatever those chat apps are about betting on the NFL, like maybe about a year earlier. So quickly I was like, hey, dude, let's start the Rare Pepe Foundation. I got the domain. He put up a crappy website with just fake stuff. And we're going to mock the Bitcoin Foundation, which was kind of a joke at the time. And we're going to help Mike help him judge the cards. We had no idea if Mike was going to be cool with that. We just thought it'd be fun to. And Theo set up a little chat, and we started jumping in. And we're like, damn, we need a dev, because Mike's going to build a WordPress site, which isn't really, what we need. We need like a real like kind of, wallets and all that stuff. So yeah, early on I tried to get Droplister, Dan Anderson, to come. He joined and he said, y'all are too rare for me, and he left. And I think he minted that Telegram chat. He's like, I just faded generational wealth. And then very quickly Joe Looney and John Villar were in there, and that pretty much was the team for a while. Eventually we got J-Dog to join because he's such a Counterparty. He's been the Counterparty guy for so long. So he eventually joined, and then we paused a couple times. Eventually Bench joined. It's been just an amazing experience. We actually got kind of wore out after more than a year and a half of doing it. Because you're not getting paid, and these people are DMing you left and right, like, can I get my card in? But it's been a great experience. So I loved it.
Yeah, and for those that are watching on the live stream, I pulled up Shawn Leary's cards. He created 18 unique cards. The current combined floor is 118 ETH, about $240,000. So, and
Nice.
The first card that you had created was as early as season 1, card 5, and it looks like the latest.
Pepe,
yeah, and the latest is season 25, card 18. So, looking at where Rare Pepes are now, right? It's kind of the community's moved from Counterparty to Ethereum to back to Counterparty. Now it's kind of all getting mixed and mashed, right? You're buying Rare Pepes on Ethereum. What's kind of your outlook since being there since the very beginning on the state of just Rare Pepe and the mimetic kind of nature of Pepe?
A great question. I mean, I think we could spend hours just talking about Pepe. It's a meme that just catches you, and you kind of, I mean, it's not like a cult, like you can leave, but it's just funny. It made me creative. I hadn't really done art since I was a little kid. A few sketches when I was a little bit older, but really hadn't done any art in a couple decades. So other than making memes on Reddit, which isn't really as artistic, and I'm not saying my cards are amazing works, but you just get that excitement about it, and mixed with the whole collectible nature of tokens, it was just a perfect storm, and it just took off. It went viral. We got exposure on RT, several journals, Vice, Le Monde over in France, a bunch of them. Was it 538 did one? Had a lot of good times, a lot of good exposure, and it kind of set the kind of the beginning of the crypto art, where you could make a decentralized curation of art, have artists submit their work, teach them how to use the protocol. We would coach them through how to issue their tokens, how to lock the token, make sure it wasn't divisible, set some parameters. And it was kind of like an onboarding for Counterparty. So I'm definitely hardcore there. I have some Ethereum stuff, and I've done one artwork on my one oil painting I've ever done. I did on notable Pepes. So that's out there. So I'm bullish. I mean, art is it's a universal language. It's like people are into music or what have you, or soccer, whatever it is. You just have that common excitement that you share. And so it makes just a great community.
We had, I don't know if you listened to the show. We did what would you call it, Jake? A conspiracy numerology show. It was a first for us the other week. I don't know if you caught that one, because this guy went deep on how there was a bit of conspiracy around. He was mainly focused on Mike. And do you, or does anybody have any idea who Mike is? Can you confirm or deny Mike is a real person and not the NSA?
He is 100% a real person.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's an OG Bitcoiner. Like he's OG, like 2010 OG. So he's got the time to make dank memes all day and have fun. So no, he's a real guy, real dude, very good guy, very funny, very smart, very talented. I mean, the two songs, the Pepe Cash song and what's the other one there? They're both amazingly catchy songs, on YouTube. I don't know if you guys have heard those before, but he's very talented. Yeah.
There you go. Conspiracy broken, bro.
Yeah.
He's not part of QAnon. We know that. He's from that as well.
How funny. All right, Bench. First, appreciate you for coming on, man. You've been here for quite a while in the Pepe space. Again, I'll present the same question with you. How did you get involved with Rare Pepe and then eventually finding yourself as a Rare Pepe scientist?
So I don't think I was as involved in Counterparty before Rare Pepes, but I had certainly heard of it, but I didn't own any XCP. But because Counterparty, to set the stage, is existing before Ethereum. And I don't like to necessarily say that I was interested in smart contracts, because that's very Ethereum now. But I was always interested in the concept that Bitcoin can do more than just transfer value. So Counterparty was very interesting. And then basically, I think what happened was my friend who people in the Counterparty space might know, a grass-fed goat. He's the person who first orange pilled me on Bitcoin in 2013. He was into Counterparty, and we both simultaneously found whatever the first announcements of the Rare Pepe thing was, and we basically just were okay, he was I know how to make all these tokens and do all this stuff. So back to Shawn was saying, how we were really onboarding artists and coaching them through this is how you name it, it has to be this many characters. Actually, it can't start with the letter A, which is a weird finicky thing about Counterparty, because free numeric assets start with A. So my friend Goat basically knew how to make the tokens, and I'm basically at Shawn's situation where I had made memes on Reddit or whatever, but I definitely wouldn't have ever considered myself an artist. I was working as a scientist, so I also had Photoshop and Illustrator skills, though. I could make things that looked a little professional. And I was also a person that grew up with Magic cards and Dungeons and Dragons and lots of collectible things like that. So between us finding it, we were all right, we need to make a card and just get in. And so my first card was Series 3. And actually, to clarify, the China Pepe that sold was actually CHINA Pepe. Mine is CHYNA. And that, so that was actually not my China Pepe. But congrats to the sale anyway. Because 5 ETH is pretty decent. And so basically, I made a card that was called China Pepe. That was my first card, which is like a mashup of Donald Trump and Pepe and the Ancient Aliens guy. Back to it being very like Reddit. Imagine like Advice Animals was like the Ancient Aliens guy. That was a very big meme template. And so I had basically, and the way that Trump would say China when it just made me laugh. He would blame anything on China or this. And so I made that card, and then we made the companion card, which was a Hillary card, which was actually called Killary. And then after that, I was like, I want to make a card to just like onboard people, like Shawn was saying. So I made the card Pepe Traders, which is a pretty high volume card at this point. It's people would say, that now that the Ordinals people, the Taproot Wizards have taken that Bitcoin wizard, which also, again, is from Reddit. I had made it Pepe, and I made, 10,000. It's actually 11111. And basically any new person that came in the room, if they're like, what's going on here? We would be just like, just download a wallet and we'll send you a Pepe. And that got me, to be somewhat known as just like, oh, he'll send you a free Pepe. And I guess, after a while, the scientist, as Shawn said, it was a lot of work. I was there for maybe like the last 5 to 8 series. I don't know the exact time, but they had already built like a bot. So we had like a voting system. So like the publication of cards was almost like automated at that point. And I think that covers your question.
Yeah. I mean, it's fair enough. But again, I'll then present the same question I did to Shawn too, just to even it out. Now being there since the beginning, your first card, China Pepe, was in season 3, and your latest card was season 21, card 47. Where Pepe is now, this meme right now, it's just such an inherent part of crypto culture. And now rare Pepes are finally, getting some notoriety as, this pristine collection, and kind of classified along the same ranks as CryptoPunks, and rightfully so. Is this something that you thought, or did you foresee this kind of situation happening back then when you were curating this collection of 1,774 cards?
Okay, so I thought of Pepes in the same way that I do in terms of like how hard they are. They're rare, locked counterparty assets. They use a namespace, which is a infrastructure that fits to me as a person that understands like domain names and DNSs. It's like you can only have this one name, just like you can only have one website that's google.com. I didn't foresee the PFP craze at all. I remember CryptoPunks. So the first sort of meeting that we had, the Rare Art Festival, which I believe Shawn's flight was canceled for, which I believe is accurate. And we did not get to meet that time. Matt Hill. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, that was a bummer. But I mean, look where we are now. So, but basically, Matt Hill was there doing the CryptoPunks. And it's not that I don't think they're cool. It wasn't, to me, something that I found as interesting. Obviously, that 10K derivative became a mass template that, I have no idea how many of those collections there are. I would say at least 10,000, probably 10K, if not more. But I always joked about how blockchain art is permanent. I think I wrote the first Wikipedia page for Rare Pepe, which was deleted, obviously. I don't think we got one until 7 years later that wasn't deleted. But I always joked about how history books were going to have to acknowledge this and how silly it was going to be that it was this fraud.
What is that about the Wikipedia and its adversarial nature to all things crypto? What is that about? Do you have any idea? Like, did anybody say why they took that down, that initial post on Wikipedia?
I think it was just marked as like not relevant.
So crazy, dude. The censorship.
like like think about it. Like when we were doing the, quote unquote NFTs back then, like cards, people in 2016, I mean, people still think Bitcoin's fake or made up or just magic internet Mario coins. But like in 2016, not only do you have like that Bitcoin is not at all even gone to 20K, it like only went to like 1K. Then you're like, no, and we made like another token on top of it, and it's a frog picture. And they were just like, I was literally a PhD scientist, and imagine like me talking to the people like around me about it, and they were like, just okay, you know what I mean? Like,
So Bench, as you curated, helped curate the collection, I believe you came in as a scientist towards the end, right? Can you help set that timeline for us? When did you?
I want to say it was like the last 6 to 8 series would be my guess.
And from your experience as a rare Pepe scientist, what did you take away from that in terms of all the art that's being submitted and kind of combing through all of this? What is there good art? Was there bad art? How did it get approved? And just personal takeaways.
So I think the vast majority of us all erred on the side of like what's good versus bad. Like the observer doesn't really get to decide that, but we did have some rules, which is like it has to be original. So you can't just take a meme that you stole or like a really like low effort, even with no creativity. As long as there was some sort of artistic expression, I think I definitely know me, and I think almost all of us agreed, that art is anything. I mean, Joe Looney, one of the scientists, is the creator of Invisible Pepe, which is literally, I mean, it's kind of cool technically because it uses, RBGA, the alpha channel is required for JPEGs to require transparency. But the whole point is that the Pepe is invisible. I mean, I have one. I would recommend. It's a pretty hot Pepe, but
there was an Easter egg too, and there was an Easter egg too in there, wasn't there? Like a private key to something else. Like there was something in there someone got.
That's, I believe, correct. It was a puzzle.
Yeah. Oh, really? Do you know? Tell us about that. I've never heard that part before.
Well, in 2016, there's an article that's on the website shitco.in that's called like Rare Pepe FOMO and the Alt Pump and Dump Cycle that Goat is the author of, but obviously me and him were making cards together. So I was, at least reading the article and giving some opinions. And we hid a China Pepe in there, and somebody found it within a couple weeks.
Wow. Yeah, I just pulled up the website right now. Co.in on the live stream. I'm gonna try to find that specific article.
But that was one of the first articles that kind of put us on the map. That article and Theo going on to kind of a popular weekly crypto podcast, and all he kept talking about, we're putting Pepe's on the blockchain using blockchain technology over and over again. It was hilarious.
Yeah,
and the episode's private now. Unfortunately, we're trying to get a hold of it.
Pepe Traders, that card that I was talking about with the wizard, that's pretty highly, traded in terms of volume, has quotes from that Theo. Like it says, "Use your imagination." That was a Theo quote, and then "We have to build the new internet on the Pepe chain." That's a Theo quote. So that's where those text lines came in for that card.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes, he's always one step ahead of us, Theo. He did card number 4. Mike did the first 3, and then Theo did 4.
And you did 5.
I did 5. Yeah,
But people have argued that those 4 and 5s are like kind of the most important cards because it went from, and I liked this argument, which is why I'm, saying it, because it went from just like, this is my personal collection, which I feel like that's what these 10K PFPs are. It's like one, I mean, I guess you could have multiple artists, but it's like a single shot personal collection. And it was like, that's cards 4 and 5 is where it was like, no, it's everybody can make
Right.
Pepe.
Yeah, we started off with editions. We didn't believe in one of ones. I mean, obviously only one Pepe on Series 1 is the first NFT, right? But I think we like the fact that you could issue more than, keep 10 and sell 90, Well, someone else pointed out that shitcoin card is technically the first Pepe on the blockchain because it's using like kind of the known internet shared sticker meme. And then I guess Dank Pepe, I definitely took, him smoking weed from the interwebs. So I guess that would be the second one.
Well, definitely had I can't remember.
The grandkids be so proud. I made the first weed smoking Pepe.
The first 20 on the blockchain. But somebody was telling us, I can't remember, it was another space we had on Pepe about the shitcoin card was the first one to actually trade in the Telegram itself. I don't know if you guys.
He said the next 20 people that come to my chat, and that's still the original chat that we're in. He said the first 20 people that come gets a shitcoin card. So we didn't know about Rare Pepe yet. Yeah. And then he listed them that day, and I FOMO'd in. I bought one for like, I think it was like $6 or $3.
Hardcore FOMO right there, $6.
Yeah, I came back in the chat, and I saw people just swarming in. BTC VIX, Aztec BTC, all these like kind of known internet OG guys were coming into the chat. I'm like, this thing's taken off. So I went back in, I grabbed 45 more. So I had 46.
Wow.
Series 1 card on day one. So I was really FOMOing in. So I got to pretend like I was like a VC, art investor guy. Just all these memes are it's just so much fun.
It's it's kind of the early version of, there's a lot of NFT funds that exist now. It's almost kind of how you think of it, allocating a certain percentage of the supply of an NFT and then coming in.
And we knew nothing about the art space. So this was all just, had we known anything about real art, we would have never done anything like this.
Yeah, nobody
interacted with legacy, art people. It's like
the crypto space was so small then that there was like a number of small chat rooms in Telegram. Like there was like the Troll Box, and then there was like Coin Dojo, and there was sort of just like known people who it's like the modern influencers like wouldn't even know their names, but back then traders were sort of like the biggest influencers, like flexing your P&L shots on like your small niche group chat was like that was your
all their BitMEX screenshot trades.
That's why a lot of
leverage.
Yeah, or just like memes about BitMEX not working. I mean, Arthur Hayes himself uses Rare Pepes pretty much exclusively as the landing page for every blog post that he writes. And he just is in the chat room and he'll just be like, do you guys know Pepe that's like related to this topic? And then everybody's like, oh my God, Arthur. And then,
use mine.
People try to post like, you should take this one. And a week later, a blog post comes out and it's freaking Rare Pepe.
Wait, I gotta know before we move on from the voting mechanism. Was this like a simple like up and thumbs up, thumbs down vote, or how did the votes actually take place?
There was yes, no, and no,
maybe.
and indifferent.
Yeah,
I think it was 7 of us, and I think as long as you got like 3 or 4 yeses, it didn't really matter what the other votes were or something. So what would happen was like anything that was obvious would get like yeses really fast. And then if there was, because we used to go back to the artist and just be like, this is pretty good, but like, and this even happened before I was a scientist to my card. Yeah. And they're just like, could you just change like a little thing? And then like,
yeah, because you guys had burnt Pepe Cash. We all had to burn Pepe Cash to get the cards in the collection, and we would adjust the Pepe Cash amount based on what was reasonable, like $5, $10, just something to not make it spam. You don't want people spamming it, and so we would feel kind of obligated. Well, the person already burnt because you had to send the Pepe Cash to a burn address. It's gone. You're never getting it back. So then you kind of felt like, okay, work here, spruce it up a little bit. We'll get it. We'll get you in there.
Yeah. I got a few people DM me about questions. So if anyone has questions, feel free to just request to come on stage, or you could just drop a question in the replies of the thread and we'll be sure to ask them as well. Between both of you, either of you can answer this. How rare Pepe's now trade, right? The value generally gravitates towards either these like very culturally relevant cards, like the Nakamoto card, or the ones with like lowest supply. You know, now looking
First
back,
music,
right?
first music NFT with DJ Pepe.
Right, first music. I think the
Skrilla, yeah.
first GIF with the UFO Pepe. There's a few of those kind of like relevant cards. But looking back at it now, do you wish you would have changed the supply, of just completely gone through, or just tried to do 100 supply for all of these cards?
No.
I was pissed that Mike allowed a one-on-one, because remember the first like 700 cards was just Mike. I mean, he was in the chat room with us, and Joe's hosting the website, and so Joe would have definitely a say of what's safe for work and what isn't. And Mike had the WordPress site, and so they both were working together. But I mean, yeah, I was pissed that there was a one of one. That means I can't collect Series 1. I'm like a garbage pail kid collector from back in baseball, but I was pissed, to be honest with you. And then I had a card that was going to be 30 called Rarer Pepe, and they changed the rules to 100, and they wouldn't even let me get it in. I'm like, guys, I already registered the asset. I locked it at 30. I'm good, right? And they're like, no, dude, it's 100 now. So I had to burn that Rarer Pepe token and issued Pepe Rare, and then I just burnt 70 of them. So kind of went against the ethos of the whole thing, but it was already like I already planned it out beforehand. So. But anyway.
Yeah, my first cards I wanted at supply of 13, but they had already changed the rule by the time that we got the artwork in. And in retrospect, I'm glad that there were 130, not 13. I understand people like that 100 number, but I think without having, for example, like Pepe Traders, which is 11,000 cards, we would not have been able to bootstrap and get people of all different, basically like economic backgrounds. I don't like to say that, but like interested, because just like you were saying, people are vaulting Pepe Cash that you can buy for like a penny and selling it for like $40 on OpenSea. It's like, okay, like that's not like worth my personal time, but like if you want to hustle and do that, like, I think like more power to you. And I think that if all the cards were like lower or some sort of, I think also the number is part of the artwork, like of issuance.
Yep,
it's rare. Yeah.
In my opinion, it was highly thought about for all my cards. I mean, like the Snoop Dogg card I have is 420 issuance. You know what I mean? Like it's just, no, I do not.
I've been onboarding my son. He's 11 now. And I've given him some like XCP allowance and sent him a few cards, and like it's teaching like basic economics. He uses Pepe.WTF. He sees what's available. I taught him, which ones are going to be in Rare Pepe wallet if it shows a account XCP, asset being available, and showed him Xchain.io. So he's like learning some fundamental, economics from Pepe. So it's fun.
Yeah, it's awesome to see a lot of the OGs getting all of their kids into space. I know Viva shared his story at Pepe Fest of getting his kid to draw, and I know Joe has started what was it called? I think it was called like Festival Pepe's or something like that.
The mint passes he had set up. So he had like preloaded all these wallets with a little bit of Bitcoin and a half of XCP, or less. No, maybe he used numerics. He might have used we named them. So he must have loaded them with a half XCP to get the vanity name. So that was fun. I was there in Paris. That was a great time.
Yeah, it's interesting points you made there. And I think, I don't know, Jake, what we were talking about earlier, maybe this week or last week, talking about like, if we want to onboard, 1 billion people, it can't be, $1,000 JPEGs or tens of thousands. It has to be like free or near free, right? To get people interested in the stuff to begin with. So, I mean, it's funny how you guys hit on that just kind of intuitively. It just makes sense. I mean, it just makes sense. It has to be near free or free even at the beginning to just get people kind of to push go on something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So Arwen messaged me, said that he got rugged, but he wanted to mention that Bench appears in Yell Pepe. I don't know the story behind that. Bench, you know the story behind that?
Yeah. So the Yell Pepe basically is capturing a moment when somebody was at, I believe it was in New York City. I was living there at the time, but I was not at this meetup. They were at just like a regular Bitcoin meetup. And somebody says basically like that they'll either give them a card or just to do it for the fun, just yell Pepe out. And a couple minutes later, there's this hilarious video of basically somebody taking a selfie and showing themselves looking at the phone and have their back turned to this giant crowd of people listening to somebody talk, and they just scream, Pepe! And everybody turns around and looks. And we're just like, it just like shows the chat people, and I happened to be there at the time. I was just like, LOL, that's hilarious, or whatever I said. I will say that that member of the community has passed away, so rest in peace to him. He went by Street Art Hustle, I believe was the handle. He was a good guy.
And that came out of one of the Hillary conventions. Someone had screamed Pepe, and that kind of went viral. So that was around that same time.
Yeah, you gotta love that. Let's I think there was 6 or 7 Rare Pepe scientists throughout the process. One of them was John Villar, RIP, rest in peace. Can each of you share your experience of working with him? I know he tends to, because he passed away, people tend to forget his importance, but I know he was like one of the main maintainers of X-Chain and really one of the pioneers with Rare Pepe. So we'll start with Shawn.
Yeah, John was incredible. Being an online person from the beginning of the internet in the mid 90s, early 90s, chat rooms, IRC chats, if you're one of these people, and I think many of us are, you kind of live online, and you kind of develop these friends with people that you would never meet normally, and you kind of click on another level, and you enjoy it. Then you come back to your normie friends in real life, and you're kind of bored. But John was one of those guys that in a chat room, you couldn't tell that English wasn't his first language. I mean, those are the coder types, and they're just super smart at languages in general. And he was the nicest, most positive person you could meet. He's in Venezuela, socialist failed country. He's scraping by. He has his family making artwork and selling them. So he's literally feeding his whole family with Pepe's, with memes. And it was so cool to know him. And unfortunately, he passed during COVID pretty early on. They didn't have the vaccine down there. He was 42. And they said he had pneumonia and had a heart attack, but I don't know if it was 100% COVID. His dad passed away of COVID a week later. So he left his only son. So it's really sad. So we dedicated the Pepe price guide to him, and we miss him a lot, really do.
Yeah, I hear a lot of stories. How about you, Bench?
I mean, yeah, I just have to pretty much echo, everything Shawn had to say. He was such a nice and positive guy. I think that there's a really great interview with him that's on YouTube. I don't know if you can find it. I think it's just like if you search YouTube, like John Villar Pepe Cash.
Yeah, it's by John. It's by Juan Galt, who was just in that Tijuana Anarchy Netflix special.
Oh, really?
He also made what's the deal with it, Pepe, where the shades come across and hit his face. He made that Pepe. He only made one Pepe in the collection, but he got to meet John down at some Latin American convention, Bitcoin convention. I think it was in Central America somewhere. And so there's a really cool interview with John Villar.
Yeah, I've actually pulled it up here on the live stream for those that are watching. So you can, I'll keep it in the background while we go through this conversation. Voldy, first, welcome to the stage, man. One of the, devout Pepe connoisseurs, to say the least. How are you doing?
Good, man. Just want to say I'm very, very honored to be able to pose a question directly to the original degenerates. And Pepe's, I think, are like a working tapestry, and we're all just students of the lore. So, but I have a couple questions for you guys, the scientists specifically. I think even to an experienced connoisseur, let's say, the Rare Pepe directory is quite overwhelming. So I'm curious to hear from each of you, what is your favorite card subjectively to you personally? And then what is maybe one or two cards that are under a few $100s that you think, within the OGs are pretty much, accepted as one of the, you have to have this, or we see this being relevant, or this is within the community, this is something that means something to us collectively?
Yeah, I guess I'll go first. I think Hair Pepe is kind of the funniest one because I couldn't tell if it was computer animated. I couldn't tell what was it, Photoshop. I couldn't tell what was going on, and it's just a fun card. And it's got the purple background and smooth. It's a smooth-haired Pepe, and maybe he's born with it, so he's got collagen injections going. I don't know. It was just goofy, funny, and Joe came up with kind of the meme of it. Was like, I bought one yesterday and I felt good. I felt really good after I bought one. I don't know, I was kind of feeling down. I'm like, let me try it. And I bought one. I'm like, holy shit, it worked. All of a sudden people went crazy trying to buy them. And this one guy, Hal, bought like almost 500 of them. So I think you can pick them up for about $1,000. And you get access to the salon, which is a chat that I started for it. Just kind of, we would watch hair movies, and the artist, she's I think Japanese Canadian, and she's in the chat as well. And it's just a fun, goofy group of it's just like 1,000 cards. So the other one I would say bargain is Shitcoin card, because it's number 3 card. It's the first Pepe on the blockchain using the classic sticker. It's a Mike card, and it's the first card we traded. So that would be my investor, smart investor recommendation.
All right, so this is like a really, really hard question. But I think maybe one of my favorite cards is Relax Pepe. So this Pepe, somebody, I don't even remember who it was, came in and they just were having people roll dice, and it was like, if you rolled, 4, 5, 6, you got the cards. And if it was 1, 2, 3, he burns them. And then the second die tells you how many of the cards. And people were getting really, really into it. And we just went through, I think like half of them got burned. And it just, people were like complaining about, back to the rarity thing, about not being able to collect it. But, as the card says, haters gonna hate, just relax, Pepe. I think I won 5, but I just gave them away to people that lost because they were so salty. And now it's at a pretty high price that I kind of wish I had all 5. But what are you going to do? In terms of what cards, I think there's a lot of really fun, low price cards. Especially, I would recommend everybody just basically don't buy the low price cards. You can buy your high price cards on OpenSea. Sometimes it's even competitive because people don't mind having decent ETH liquidity there. But there's a ton of cards that have really high issuance that you can buy for like $1. So just get some XCP. There's like the Pepe is a Da Vinci card. So they're a pretty prolific Japanese artist that we had. I don't know if people know, this is a little fun factoid, that at one point Japan was making very stringent guidelines about what cryptocurrencies were allowed. And Pepe Cash was specifically listed as officially allowed by the Japanese government. It was not a scam.
It is not a security. It is okay to trade.
Yes, Zaif, an exchange, still lists it there along with XCP because XCP was on there. So we had some fun Japanese artists. In addition to the Venezuelan artist was awesome, as Shawn talked about before. And I had the same experience with where people, because, the cards back then were selling for, $15, $20, which, to us, because we were going to do it anyway. I think one of the things people need to realize is that Pepe Cash didn't have a value, and we were trading these cards for Pepe Cash, which was just sort of like a mimetic scoreboard until it did have a value. And then people were like, oh shit, I can make money with this. Even if it's $20, $30 here and there. And that was a lot of money to certain people.
Dude, you've just described Bitcoin, which is amazing. I love these stories. We've talked about that Japanese and the Japanese exchange a bunch of times. Just because talking with you know, I don't know who we're talking with Jabon from Spells of Genesis and Chris from Saratobi, and just they were living in Japan, and this was a big thing in Japan that Japan had listed Pepe Cash and all this sort of stuff. It's just incredible stuff, man. Just incredible stories.
Yeah, one of the interesting things that you see on Counterparty is, you know, you had the creation of Rare Pepe towards the end of 2016, and then you see all these I guess you call them companion collections like Memory Chain and Oasis Mining and Bitcoin and Saratobi, and they all take either a Rare Pepe card and put it into their collection, or they start creating kind of their own version of Rare Pepe in it. So there's a lot of gems over there as well. And I know, Bench, you've created a few Bitcoins as well, correct?
Yeah, so Bitcoins like basically didn't really overlap with Rare Pepe. I think Mike might have even said, not in any sort of realistic, likely binding way, but he was like, I pass the reins on to you, to Dan, like in public chat when he started the Bitcoins thing. So I was, you know, on the foundation because I sort of had a resume that I was a Pepe card scientist already. So clearly I should be on your Bitcoin Foundation. And so I didn't actually make that many cards, but I did make like a thing that's on Scarcity if anybody wants to buy it, that I brought this like corn sheet. It's sort of like, I worked in marketing at that time. So it's like a sell sheet that you would see, you know, just the size of a sheet of paper, but it has like everything you need to know. It's called Corn Sheet. And I brought it to like a conference. It was Tab Conference in Atlanta, and then the Rare Art Festival too. I did 2 different prints of them that I brought to give out there to try and sort of onboard people. And so there was a physical and a token. And then I just made this other silly drag queen card called Corn Queens because I was watching RuPaul's Drag Race and like they had some sort of farm challenge, and I don't know.
Yeah, so I pinned to the top. Shawn posted or replied to me, posted the interview with John Villar. If anyone is interested, that is pinned to the top. You know, Bench, you do bring up a good point previously about if you actually want to go through the work, and it's really not that hard once you learn. If you learn Counterparty, you could find cards anywhere from 5% to literally 50% or 90% off if you go to places like Scarcity or Counterparty, or just honestly go into the Rare Pepe chat. And yeah, as long as you got some I guess some tough skin, just you might get ragged on a little bit just to prove kind of your social value, you can really find a lot of really good deals in there. Emblem, what we do is, right, we're kind of helping proliferate to ETH liquidity for Rare Pepe, and we're actually almost up to 1,600 cards out of 1,774. There's 1,599 right now, so you have almost the entire selection on OpenSea, but you can also get the entire selection on Bitcoin as well. So I highly recommend going through with that. I think Robot Love Coffee has a ton of great videos when it comes to learning Counterparty.
Yeah, that being said, though, Emblem, you know, people need to realize that it also, you know, having your cards on there are tools that people really like these galleries that they make. So having your Pepe in an Emblem vault, you know, if you want to use it for a certain utility is also, you know, it makes sense. And if you do learn Counterparty, you can be the person selling these low value cards to other people. You know what I mean? And you'll be vaulting if that's what you have time for, to make $10 selling somebody some Pepe Cash and ETH. I mean,
hey man, we saw it all last in 21, man. It was going crazy, right? Like literally people just buying on Counterparty, listing on ETH and selling, right? It's just it happened all day long.
That arbitrage opportunity can literally get to like $500 to $1,000 gaps if you're really paying attention. When there was serious momentum towards the end of 2021, I was seeing people make $1,000 every time, just literally vaulting and selling to the degens.
Yeah, but Jake, that opportunity also used to exist with Pepe Cash, XCP, and Bitcoin. That was the craze. I literally used to run triangular arbitrage on hair Pepe. Like I would find, like, because the Pepe price cash would move so crazily along with XCP, and people, like, the DEX orders are just sitting there. So you could actually find like free hair Pepes. Like, oh, I'll buy these 3 hair Pepes in Pepe Cash, and then I can sell 2 of them in XCP, like, and just keep one for myself. Like, it was crazy.
That's part of the addiction with Pepe's is trying to find them, you know, because you've got so many different avenues, and we love what Emblem Vault's done, and bringing in new people. I mean, the Yuga Labs guy, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's yeah, you know, it's just more, you know, you have a lot of, you know, leaders and, you know, large personalities that are coming to Rare Pepe. I think right now Pepe's validated. It's now just kind of getting it to the masses. It's also just such a large collection, 1,774 different cards of different supplies. When I did the math, when I started working at Emblem, I did the math on like how many Rare Pepe cards it could be, like actual tokens. If you omit the cards that are 1,000 supply or over, there's literally almost 250,000, just literally cards that are 999 supply or lower. If you add the ones above that, right, you're in like the trillions or quadrillions or whatever the kind of specific
There's
number.
as many as stars in the sky, my friend.
Yeah, really, right? So I think eventually what happens is once Emblem deploys on all these other chains, you'll have Rare Pepe on Solana, on all these layer 2s or on ordinals, so you can really
Bro,
just
I can't wait to bring Rare Pepes to ordinals. It's literally gonna explode brains, man. I'm just so awesome.
Well, Joe Looney originally wrote this ordinal envelope concept, where you could I think it was like the idea was you could store counterparty data in like ordinal envelopes. So if you want to do that, I would look into that.
Yeah, we actually Shannon, who's the founder of Emblem, we talked with Joe about that. What we're gonna do is we're gonna put Rare Pepes or the counterparty tokens inside of the ordinal envelope, but we were gonna put Emblem inside of the counterparty token. So it just became like this almost which is a babushka, kind of like a babushka token. There's just like a token
like a
yeah, like a token within a token within a token.
A tokaduckin.
Yeah. But ultimately now I think we've come we found a way to deploy Emblem on ordinals. We just got to get through this migration and stuff, and it seems like that's where a lot of people want, is just to buy Rare Pepes in Bitcoin. Also too, you know, Ben, you brought up a good point earlier. On Ethereum, people they take their Rare Pepes, they vault it, and then they'll go borrow against it on Arcade. Or if you're like Punk6529, you take your Winkle Pepe and, you know, your multi-million-dollar Pepe portfolio, and you put it into your metaverse for people to kind of look at. And it seems like these use cases with Pepe and these experiments keep continuing. Like, Shawn, I know you're one of the leads on the Pepe bag, right? The kind of the fractional.
I'm a bag holder.
Yeah, tell us.
I'm a bag holder.
Tell us about that. That's, I think, one of the more successful kind of I guess meme-fi Pepe projects.
Yeah, I forgot the name of the website, but it specialized in fractional art. It might have been fractional.art, perhaps. I might be messing that up, but it's really indelible trade. He's kind of a known, trusted member of the Pepe community, and he's a bit of a coder and got everything set up. And we just basically donated Pepes into it, and got some bag. And there's still some bag left to trade. So if you want to trade some of your Pepes into the bag, I think we're number 19 or 20th on the leaderboard for the collection. So we're building some steam. We really want to get a Naka in there, but man, it seems to be going up. It seems to be going the wrong direction for us. But yeah, it's an ETH token, and it's called Bag Holder. And what's it? I should plug the website. I don't remember it. Hold on. But yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, check that out.
Project.
Yeah, it's cool. It's basically for if you weren't following along, it's just a bunch of Rare Pepes inside of a vault that's fractionalized fungible tokens against it. So you have the token bag, which represents the value, or it's supposed to represent the value of all the Rare Pepes inside of the vault, which is now number 19 on the top Pepe board. You could check that on pepe.wtf. Large collections, to say the least. Yeah, it's exciting. I think also another project I've seen is Feels Good Man. Somebody built some sort of smart contract to where you can, it's a kind of the same idea. You deposit your vaulted Feels Good Man into this contract and it gives you the Feels Good Man token on the other side. So you do see a lot of these experiments, and I think it's only going to continue as Pepe becomes cross-chain and also as these kind of NFT ecosystems continually build out on these blockchains. It's going to be exciting, to say the least. So, Adam, you got any other questions, or does anybody else have any other
Actually,
ones?
I see Rare Mike's up on stage. I don't know if you had a question, brother, or wanted to chime in, man. How's it going, dude?
Oh no, hey guys, what's up? No, it's funny. Some people mistake me for the original Mike. But I do represent the second generation of Pepe people, which I think is really important because there are a lot of the people that are now getting into it to buy part of this, part of the collection, kind of buy into the culture and all the derivatives. And then I'm one of those folks who just fell into this very bizarre, Pepe autismo in 2020, where I just ended up in like very, very bizarre Telegram groups talking about ancient assets that live on blockchain. So it's a great entry point for people to find some of that gold, because a lot of people, they idolize the new, Bored Apes and all this other stuff, but there are some ancient historic artifacts that live in these ecosystems with funny stories, and I think eventually that'll be valued what it should be valued. And the new gen is going to find that. I think it's starting, and it kind of started in 2021, but there's a lot of assets and a lot of cards in Pepe that are just going to go down in history as really important to the crypto art community, not digital art, but like crypto art community, which is its own thing. And so that's my 2 cents. I mean, there's a lot of new folks out there you'll see kind of cropping up again who were instrumental in just educating new folks about why this is important and why this should be part of kind of the NFT canon.
So
Mike, we can see you next month in Vegas.
Let's go. Tech holders.
All right.
Vegas.
Let's go.
Mike, what would you suggest as the best educational tools to learn about Rare Pepe as you came into 2020, right? Pepe.wtf didn't exist.
No.
How did you learn about it? And then now that you've been kind of in the community for almost 4 years, what do you recommend?
Well, at first we just got wrecked. That was the education. So you're like, oh, this one's cool. Then you overpaid and then you got wrecked because you have no idea and you're just getting dumped on. But it's kind of part of I hate to say it, but that era was your initiation, was just getting kind of like no one's going to hold your hand. Like that was just how it was. And that was part of the fun, honestly. But nowadays there's so much more stuff. Like Pepe.what the fuck is the best. I think Shawn was talking about it. Even his son was working on it. Like it's the best resource ever. So whoever built that, amazing. I was building like a manual database for a while for myself, and then I'm like,
yeah, how many spreadsheets were out there, man? Right? Crazy.
What I was doing, I was like, I'm gonna just build an Excel macro. No, but this is way, way better. So that's the first place to go. I would recommend people just to look at, if you're interested in scarcity and cultural value, sometimes they're slightly different. So you could like, oh, this one's about Trump or whatever, but let's say it's not a super high or super low quantity card like issuance. So you have like many dimensions to valuing these things, like when it came out, which series, which artist, like we're talking about artists that have been around that are no longer around, so it increases their scarcity, and then how many cards were issued, and then if there's any kind of cultural value, if there's some sort of sports memorabilia component. So really you have to think about, I would just think about what do other vanity collectors like? Do they like, basketball cards? Do they like historical moments? Do they like early? And, that's kind of the way people are looking at it. A lot of the big accounts now, like Gordon Goner, the guys that are, kind of, new NFT people that are buying Pepe's, they're probably going to buy the most sought after stuff first, and then people are just going to pour in after that, looking for, okay, what else can I get from series one that's low quantity. So that's, I think, the best way to do it as an entry level person, and just buy something that has some value, like whether it's the first GIF card on chain. I mean, I don't know if that's debated still, but UFO Pepe, for instance, it's the first basketball card, or it's the whatever, use your research skills. But Pepe.what the fuck is absolutely that resource. I think, to just hunt and see what's going on. But Scarcity and all these other Bitcoin related, counterparty related sites, like as you get more advanced, you can start hunting the dispensers on xchain.io and whatever, and see if you can find better deals. But everything's going to be on OpenSea, so that's for most folks that aren't advanced, they're going to end up just buying there or looking there.
Yeah, I think you laid it out perfectly to a T. After Goran Goner bought that Nakamoto card for 58 ETH, we saw about another 60 ETH in volume trail right afterwards from a lot of Series 1s, and I think people just kind of picking around. Of course, for me, the healthy sign is you see a wave of people just buying the high supply cards, the floors, just to kind of get their feet wet and then come in. And Rare Mike, I actually think that you were the first person I ever found, actually, when I got into Rare Pepes in 2021, and you were posting about it.
Yeah, I was really interested in the story at first. I mean, I pestered Shawn and all the other guys and Joe, and it was like trying to figure out what the heck. So I was an observer for a while, but I really didn't understand the cultural, like how it came about, and so that was my initial initiation to everything. But yeah, I think the next phase of Pepe is going to be pretty interesting. Not just buying and holding, but like what else comes about. Just community wise, like it's a big community already, but how will it transform from a old school Telegram group to some other? Because I mean, I think a lot of second order effects have come from the meme. Matt Fury getting involved in the project. I don't know if you guys have researched that, but anyone who hasn't, definitely look into Matt Fury and the origins and how he kind of came back to the project. But the global impact of Pepe, in other places. In Japan, the scientists have been talking about that. In Asia, and the symbolism and just all the positive aspects of Pepe, I think it's going to make its way into, I don't know what it will be, but some sort of different community substrate will come out. And maybe not Telegram, maybe it'll be something else that has a wider grip on the community. Because I think the Pepe as being kind of our internet Mickey Mouse, kind of our every man, every woman, every meme, base is universal. And so, we'll see. I don't know. I think it's really fun though. So if you guys haven't done so, just take a look and see if there's any kind of fun stuff out there, and you'll end up falling down into this really bizarre autistic rabbit hole where you'll end up at some very strange assets. But it's a good place to start. And I think that the greater crypto art community will eventually recognize it as where it should be.
Yeah, I think we did. If you guys missed it, anybody who's in the room right now, we tried to get if you don't know, Pepe's gifts are basically banned. I don't know when it happened, a couple of years ago. Got banned here on Twitter, and I think the Giphy, and there's like Giphy and Tenor or something is the other one that does the gifts on a lot of social media platforms. Basically banned Pepe's throughout, and so we did a decent job, I think, last week trying to get awareness around it. Had I don't know, at least 1 million views across X. But obviously didn't reach the right people. So if anybody knows people at Giphy or whatever, I think, or wants to spin it up again, my DM's always open. We can spin it up again to try and, because I do think like that sort of thing, which, obviously we post our own GIFs and, you have them on your phone and you can do it. But for the native user to just be able to pick Pepe out and, select from the hundreds of GIF memes, it's a big deal, and like it's something worth fighting for. Certainly, if we're part of the Pepe community, doing something like that, I think is important. One other thing I wanted to mention: a guy who was just in the room, Jacob Canfield, he's looking for a Nakamoto card. So anybody in the space here who is a seller right now
for 58 ETH, he said, yeah.
So, and he might go a little higher, but he was definitely looking. So I think I reposted his tweet. So if you look on my timeline, you could find it from him. He's definitely looking, and you can DM him if you got a Naka for sale.
Yeah, OG Bitcoin card. I also want to mention we still have 65-ish Nakamoto cards, and a lot of the high value cards. We have about 2,500 rare Pepe cards that are still in legacy. And the reason why is because when we migrated assets, these cards had multiple inside. And so there's no way for us to write a system or to write an algorithm to say, hey, if there's 4 rare Pepes in this card, migrate this to the most valuable card because there's no Bitcoin Oracle for rare Pepes yet. So I had to literally manually go through the Emblem team. We manually went through 2,500 rare Pepe vaults. And so once we get towards the end of everything and we migrate those over, you'll see a lot of high value cards really sit in the collection. So right now, I think there's only 20 Nakamoto cards, but there's about 85 to 90 that are actually vaulted. So just wanted to note that. Yeah, we're figuring out the way to go about it. We've also had to get in contact with 6529 and all of these like very high value or all these large collectors who have, 7-8 figure Pepe collections to be like, hey, we're moving your cards. So don't be alarmed when you have 500 vaults that are empty because you're getting new ones. So it's
just to give some context, like people who have Nakamoto cards, people would just airdrop them, additional assets and stuff. So to get, just for the same reason that people airdrop, high value wallets, on a ETH, drop them, more tokens and stuff. So that's why they have all these assets. It's not that the original owner put these assets in there. They got basically airdropped to them. So
yeah, it's caused a lot of pain, but it's okay. It's in your bags. Yeah, it's
only days of your life, Jake. It's not a big deal, right?
Yeah, like trying to figure that out. But
yeah, guilty as charged here.
We found the culprit.
Oh boy. So some final notes before we close. First, Al, that is in the crowd. He's the one who runs Pepe.WTF. Great job on the bot. It now sits at 150 followers. And I think we've seen there's already 5 or 6 sales that have been posted. One request I'd be, if it's possible, to put links to to Rare Pepe OpenSea in the description would be really cool. Also, you could add scarce city and stuff would be cool. So people can kind of just go to that. But really good job. I highly recommend everyone to follow this. The bot we had been also trying to get up for a while, an Emblem bot we've been trying to write, but they're writing 35 collections to a single Twitter bot's been a little complicated for the people helping with us. So Al, really appreciate you for doing that. Really, really is going to be huge. We've been trying to figure that out for about a month now. So make sure everyone follows that along. Shawn and Bench, dude, appreciate you guys for really coming on. Really value your time. Some legends on the space. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Hell yeah. So for those that don't know, we host this show. We host the Pepe show every Wednesday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. We also host shows Tuesday and Thursday. So Tuesday through Thursday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. We talk everything Bitcoin NFTs, ordinals, multi-chain, Ethereum, everything under the sun when it comes to collecting. This is what we're focused on here. Make sure you give everyone a follow on stage. Myself, Adam, Chris got kicked off. So if you're listening, sorry, Chris. We'll be talking tomorrow about Bitcoin ordinals. We'll have a few guests. We'll be talking about a few topics. And until then, guys, we'll see you next Wednesday for the Pepe show. And if you want to hear about Bitcoin ordinals, we will see you tomorrow morning. See you guys.